We know Braun as one of the most cerebral players of all time. And when you mix that in with his athleticism, that's what's able to bring him to GOAT status. And so when it comes to playing with Team USA, one thing that he's able to do that his teammates aren't able to do is translate the tendencies of his teammates who are formerly his opponents. So now when I'm playing with them, I know how to play with them. And so on a play like this, right, you're going to see the flip side of it from a teammate in Devin Booker. And so you got this action here, Booker setting the screen for Curry. That's going to be a bit of a fluff for what you're about to end up seeing later, which is now Book coming from this screen off of Embiid. And now think about the concept I just talked about. Knowing the tendencies of your opponents who have now turned into your teammates, right? And so if you think about Embiid, him playing in Philly, when you play against him, you know what he likes to do. He likes a short roll. When do you ever see Joel Embiid hard roll to the rim, right? And if we're going to keep it a bean, if we seen Joel Embiid hard roll to the rim, who's stopping him? And yet he still averages 35, which is the crazy thing, right? That's the crazy thing. He does not hard roll. He does not impose his will and use his size and just dominate around the rim, yet still averages 35, right? And so if he did that, that's a different story. That's a story for a different day. But going back to this play, when Book comes off this screen, he sees two. Now, this is not no Jock Landale. This is not no DeAndre Ayton. This is not no Jusuf Nurkic. This is Joel Embiid. And so the decision D Book is going to make, I'm going to throw that in that pocket. But Joel Embiid doesn't hard roll. And so what you're able to see Braun do, especially when you see him play with Steph, is be able to understand his tendencies just as a player, right? And not just as, oh, this is the someone I've never played with. I got to figure him out. You already know him. You've been playing him for years and years and years. So now you're just playing with him. You got to change what's going on up here mentally and start making the right decisions. And that's where Braun is able to just be a step ahead of everybody that he's playing against, playing with. And it's even what's brought him to be a number one option at the age of 40 on Team USA that's filled with youth and young stars, but yet he's still the star. Great block here by Braun. But look, watch Steph, right? As he runs left, he turned back. And now he's going to keep going middle, and he realizes, oh shit, I got Braun running on this right side. So instead of going to the left side, I'm going to go back to this right, because now Franz has to make a decision. Do I stop Braun, who's running to the rim, or do I stop Stephen Curry, who's sitting at the three-point line? And you know he's going to take away the two. So now Steph gets an open three because he thought the game in literally 0.5 seconds while running the floor. So the second you see LeBron with Dennis Schroeder on this wing, Steph already knows the deal. He's clearing out from this corner. Braun turned his back. He's going to get into a post-up. But the spacing is the most important thing now. Whether Braun wants to score or he wants to make a play to a teammate. And so as Steph clears out, you know he's going to go to the three-point line. But I don't want you to look at Steph. I want you to look at Embiid, right? Because Embiid's spacing is terrible. And now since Embiid is deciding to play around these elbows like he does with the Sixers, and he did not break this habit playing with Team USA, the opportunities you're able to get in this situation are not going to be as great as they should have been. It's going to be very limited. In a spot like that, he has to change his habits and understand, okay, if I got D-Book on this side, I got Steph going to this side as well. Those are two snipers. Those are two shooters. As a big in this situation, I'm not going to sit here and clog up spacing in the mid-range to take a jumper. If any jumper we take is going to be from them. I got to make my living down there in the paint. So instead of sitting here around this block and trying to set a screen when you already know Braun's going to see too, you sit down here around this dunker. If Embiid decided to stay around here at this dunker, that now puts pressure on these two players to guard Steph, D-Book, and Embiid on that weak side, while Tice decides to stay over here at this elbow. And two players are on Braun. Braun will find whoever's open. It's just now a matter of, are you going to space the floor properly so he could be able to find you and get the best quality look, right? So what ends up happening, this should have been a pass that's determined by the person who's making the first pass out on D-Book or Steph or Joel Embiid being all the way down here. You pull this defender down here with you. Extremely tough to guard. Kick out, swing, open three. Or kick out, swing, dump down, two right there from Embiid. Franz is not stopping him under the rim, nor is Schroeder if he's the one who's going to rotate out from Braun. You're cooked. But now regardless, you're cooked because you had bad spacing over here in the mid-range. If you want to be a point guard, Watch what Bron does. Steph is running the baseline, right? He throws his pass, and Steph hasn't even cleared the second screen and barely got past the first screen. Because Bron knows that Embiid's at this, he's the second screener, right? He knows Embiid's that second screener. And so Embiid's man is not going to step out and take away that pass. He's only going to try to tag for a split second so that Schroeder could be able to try to get back in front. And Steph's going to continue to curl because Schroeder is just chasing him, right? Mentally, you got to know this. When you know plays front to back, every single part, you'll know how to be able to manipulate them. So if you put the ball in the spot to where it should be vulnerable, it can. Because like you've seen there, 7 was literally chest to Embiid looking at the baseline. So we couldn't even see that pass coming. Nor would he even commit if he did see it there. He'll just be too slow. And then he'll throw that down to Embiid if they both jump out. And if Embiid's not there, he would have thrown that down to D-Book because D-Book would be the one open because Embiid is the one taken away. You know what I'm saying? Just layers to plays. And when you know the entire playbook, it makes everything easy. This is another very stagnant ISO that we're seeing from Team USA. But watch what Franz is able to do to then bring Bron to a spot of hesitancy. And so as Bron walks down, he has 7 on him. Franz gets that elbow. Arms out wide, most importantly, right? Arms out wide, right? That's why your coach always say, show your hands for plays like this, right? And so when Bron continues to walk down, Franz still looking at both. He's still making sure he sees ball, making sure he still sees his man. He doesn't get his chest to the ball. He's still able to split down the middle. And so Bron gets closer and closer. Franz, boom, stunts out, arms still out wide. Bron gets into a shot, and since he hesitated and continued to gather up, he gets blocked. And what ends up occurring on this other side is now, boom, they kick out the tights right here, trail to the top for a 3. And now at this point, Bron's like, all right. I'm not going to go out looking sorry like I did right there and then. I'm not going to let some number 7 block me from the mid-range and make it look like I'm dumb sorry. All right, give me the ball right back. You know when Bron wipe his hands, right? you know when you see Bron go like this, you know what I'm saying? Wait, licking his fingers and shit. You know Bron about to go and try to get a bucket, right? You know Bron about to attack. And after getting blocked on that side, I get straight into a post-up with Tice. No action necessary. Walk him down, hit him with a fade going to the baseline, just to remind you, I'm still a bucket, and you still can't guard me. Team USA scored 92. Bron scored the last 11. They got 14 points left until they reach however much they scored. But it starts right here while they still have 14 points left until they get to 92. Because now what Bron is going to do, he's going to seek out Embiid, right? He's going to establish Embiid's presence for a few plays down the floor. First time, he gets fouled. Next time, right after that, Embiid gets right here off the screen. He now dumps us down to Embiid here in the paint. He turns, gets into his midi. Boom, finally, Embiid hits a little bucket, hits a little midi, right? And now this play deviates from that concept of the last 2, but I want you to remember those last 2 plays. And I need you to also remember this one as well. Because what Bron's going to see here is what we've seen throughout the rest of this breakdown is Bron gets into an isolation, right? You see what's going on off the ball, right? No movement. Everything is stagnant. And so as a player in the situation, you got to kind of add this to your notes and understand, all right, these stagnant ISOs, attacking someone from the top of the key, allowing the defense to set up, is not creating any gaps. We're not creating any good opportunities. We're not creating any good looks. And so despite the fact that Anthony Edwards does, he gets fouled, attack the rim, and then gets to the free throw line at the end of this play, Bron understands that from his point, right, I'm going into these ISOs, I got to make sure that when I go and attack, and if I'm trying to get a bucket for later on, I'm not going to sit here and attack in this style when I'm from the top of the key. I got to adjust, right? I got to adjust. And so now notice what he's going to do later at the end of the game, particularly the last bucket. Remember those first 2 plays I showed you when they have 14 left on the board? Bron playing off at Embiid. Going down here in transition, the first look is just to see these cutters going down, right? Do I got Book? Nah, Franz got that. Then a short over there. Maybe get into there, get that cut, get into a jump pass, give it right back to Embiid. Embiid got one of our last buckets, right? And so when Embiid gets into a post this time, I'm not just, of course, going to sit here and just watch him. Be like, yo, just go score. I'm just going to stand here. And we're just going to watch you go and get a bucket. Nah, you got to play off of him. And by establishing that those first few times, Forrest, pay attention. Notice 3 players to end up getting on Embiid in the post because that's the type of gravity he has. And Braun catches that, rips it through the lane. Boom, he gets that first 2 to start off the last 11 points that he scores. He now gets back on defense, right? Can't slow down, jump that lane. Ops made a bad pass. But watch what the defensive habit that is shown in all players at all levels in all leagues is going to be embodied in with Germany right here, right? So Braun got the ball. You got Tice and Ops both on him. These situations, teammates don't really be communicating. They just be running around like they don't got a brain. They don't talk, right? And so they're going to do as they see fit. And when Braun gives it up, nobody stays on Braun. No one stays in front. So Steph gives the ball right back to him. And at this point, good luck stopping Braun. He's really just going big shoulder you. People down here too little, got too great of a spot because you weren't able to get yourself stacked up defensively. Boom. Braun right there. That's 4 points. And so watch what Braun does here too. He has the board right here. He's about damn near neck and neck with the person that's going to end up guarding him. But D Book is the most important player at this point in time because the time as to which D Book ends up getting spaced is when now Braun decides to go and hit another gear because he now speeds up, puts his shoulder down for a second. He ends up getting fouled, knows Braun was going to be on the attack, force that strong side corner, help pitch to D Book. That would have been the play if he didn't get fouled. And going back to Book, the reason Book was so important is because his spacing is what's going to allow Braun to even be able to make a play. If someone is not spaced, no play really could be made. And if he decided to go extremely fast the second he got the ball, he would end up getting down there, beating down the defense. But if he don't got a layup and as all the defense begins to collapse, he doesn't know where anybody is spaced out. So wait for players to get spaced before you actually get into your attack. So you know the outlets that you have if you don't have that lay at the rim. Understand Braun throughout this entire time. The buckets that he's gotten have not been forced. He's just been able to find spots throughout the course of the offense, and he's just allowed players to do what they do. He's just been making the right plays. He ain't really trying to force no buckets, right? Long story short, he ain't forcing none. So even in this action in itself, he's just holding spacing, right? Ant swings that to D Book, pump fake on that close, gets here. AD gets it at the free throw line, realizes, 1, 2, 3. Braun's got to be open. And then swings it to Braun right there on the wing, just knowing where players are spaced. He knocks that down. All these buckets are not forced until this one, relatively. And so remember the ISO play I showed you, right? Remember the ISO I showed you. The one where it was a super stagnant, he was trying to get busy at the top of the key. This is where you make those slight little adjustments and those tweaks so that you could be able to capitalize and be efficient and effective in these situations. So you got Braun with Dennis Schroeder right here at the top. Usually what may even happen is Braun will turn his back and walk himself down this sideline and get into the post with Schroeder, but you know you're just going to be in rotation, right? They're going to set in 2, you're going to kick the ball out, swing, boom, right? You'll be right exactly where that would be. But now instead, we got Curry up here in this action. He's got Ops on him. Not necessarily to say Ops is easier to score on than Schroeder, or Ops, I forget, I don't even know how to say it, whatever, correct me if you're German, you watch him hoop or whatever, but not to say that he may be a worse defender than Schroeder, right? But just to be able to create angles. So that first one you don't get much out of. Now you set another one. Boom, you got Schroeder commit to one side. He opens up. You get him moving already. He's jumping out off balance. And now Braun is now able to use his size. And the defense isn't able to stack up according to where he is playing from and attacking from because the movement in itself and the gravity that Steph also had in that situation. So Braun is able to get that too, able to score 11 straight, and now he's able to be the number 1 option, especially when it comes to playing down the stretch for Team USA.